I'm Lee, this is my channel. This is a fully detailed tattoo tour. I did one a while ago, but I've added some since then, and it didn't really give full details. So this video might be a little long, but I'm just gonna do it anyway. I'm just gonna go from head to bottom. I would try to go in order, but that's seemingly impossible, so I technically have a tattoo on my head. You're not gonna be able to see it, but I tried to give myself a tattoo like around my ear, but I forgot that I get migraines, and pretty much like 5 minutes in, my head was like, girl, no. So I never finished it. So really it's just like 2 lines right above here. Yeah, and sometimes you can see it if I shave the sides like super short, but we'll start on the arm with the most professional tattoos. This one says, once heavy duty, always heavy duty, with a skull and crossbones, but the crossbones are a mop and a broom. It's a tattoo I got right after I graduated from college at Warren Wilson. And Warren Wilson is a triad school, so you do work, education, and service. And so my work crew assigned freshman year was residence hall maintenance or heavy duty, which is janitorial work. So I was a janitor, and my boss, hands down, heavy duty was the best part of my Warren Wilson experience. And heavy duty specifically, the crew and my boss then, Tom, taught me so much about work and how important every job is. It was the family I needed there, and it was just, anyways, this specific design was a patch that never, got an old patch from years ago. And when I first saw it, freshman year, I saw the patch and I was like, oh yeah, I'll be getting that as a tattoo. And pretty much I think a month after I graduated, I got my tattoo, and this was my first ever professional tattoo. So I got it back in 2019, and I love it so much. This was my third or fourth professional tattoo, I think third, and it's my childhood stuffed animal, Mr. Valentine. He's a little orangutan. He's the reason I started loving orangutans, and I left the actual stuffed animal on a flight home from rehab back in 2020, COVID times. So they just probably 100% definitely threw him away. And I have looked for this stuffed animal online for years and years and cannot find any existence of him. I can find a purple one of him. He didn't come with his little shirt. I'll put more photos of him up here. But ever since I lost him, I knew I wanted a tattoo for him. And I love him so much. He's the cutest thing. He's based off a drawing that I did when I was 14 of him. And then we have my little half sun, or sun, the setting sun or rising sun. This is the logo for one of the rehabs I went to back in 2020, the ranch in Tennessee, and that's their little logo, so I did their little logo. This flower is one that a friend did back when I was probably 18 or 19, and they texted me at 5 in the morning and was like, hey, I just got a tattoo gun, do you want to come over? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I drove there at 6 in the morning. Don't know why I was awake. I'm not a morning person. And I was like, oh, I just want a small little flower, whatever. And I thought it was going to be this big, but it wasn't. It was this big. And I still love it. And I almost passed out because it was 6 in the morning, hadn't eaten, good times. And then this is my Chester piece. This I got after my soul kitty passed away back in 2021. I think I got the tattoo in maybe 2022 or 23. No, actually, I think I got the tattoo in 2024. Anyways, Chester was my soul cat and my everything, and I wanted to get a memorial piece for him, and yeah, I love him very much. going down to my hand, wrist area, I've got this vine that just kind of circles around and down my finger that I did with a tattoo rotary pin. A lot of the tattoos I did myself are stick and poke, but some of them have been gone over or were just done originally with the rotary pin. And you can tell which ones they are because they're very shaky, because I'm used to, for years I tattooed myself just stick and poke style with, you know, a needle, a tattoo needle, and some ink. And then eventually I got a rotary pin off like Amazon. And the difference in trying to figure out like how that feels pressure-wise and how everything else, how a regular like stick and poke control is just crazy. So the vine, and as well as the they them pronouns that I have right here, are incredibly like crooked and messed up because of it being the rotary pin. But I also, all the little symbols on my fingers are stick and poke. So it's a little arrow on my middle finger. Little dumb teenage me was like, ooh, I have a lot of like random symbols. So like I would look up on Google like stick and poke tattoos or symbol tattoo, whatever, list of symbols. And somewhere along the lines, I saw that this means warrior or something like that. I also just have 2 little dots on these fingers. And over here behind this ring, I have a little diamond thing that is like a matching tattoo with like a friend group that I'm not a part of anymore. With a friend specifically that was just not a good person. So I keep it covered with that ring. And then over here under the snake ring, I have a little XO, just like XO. And then moving on to the other arm, this is a guy that's outgrowing his home. So you can see, like, here's his head, here's the roof, the building, and then like the cracks. I do have to update this or touch this up because I started it, and then I had a friend who had never done a tattoo before ever use the rotary pin on me. I don't know why I did that. So he looks a little funky, and I need to go back in and kind of like make him not look so much like an alien because he's not supposed to look like an alien. But honestly, it kind of tracks because this tattoo I had done when I had to move. I moved back home in 2021 with my parents on the coast of North Carolina, and it's somewhere I said I'd never move back to, but shit happens like after rehab and blow-ups with friends and things like that. I just had to move back. So I felt like I was just outgrowing my home more and more every day, and I wanted to, you know, show that. And then I have this little, it's supposed to be a rosy maple moth that I did. He doesn't look very pretty. But I got emotionally attached to a rosy maple moth back in 2019, I think, or 2018. I was working at a teen, like preteen boarding school, therapeutic boarding school, and one of the kids was about to step on a rosy maple moth, and I had never seen a rosy maple moth before, and I picked him up, and so I carried him down. I was leaving at that point, so I carried him down to where my car was, and I was like, okay, buddy, like, you gotta leave, you gotta get off now, and he would not leave me. He kept just climbing up my arm, and I was like, oh my goodness, okay, I guess I'll drive home with you. So he kept on my arm. I drove the 45 minutes down and back up a mountain with this rosy maple moth on my arm, and then I run inside to my apartment with him, and I'm like, roommate, because my roommate at the time was like very knowledgeable in just all things, especially like just everything. So I was like, oh my God, I need to know, like, what is this moth? What do I feed it? Like, what do I do? Like, he's tired. I want to give him some love. And my roommate was like, well, that's a rosy maple moth. And the thing is that their mouths are too small to eat or something like that. And so basically, like, they're just starving to death until they die. And I was like, oh, okay. So I brought home this rosy maple moth, and now I just have to watch it die because I can't do anything to save it. And they were like, yeah. I was like, okay. And so then I looked at the little rosy maple moth on my hand, and I gave him a little pet, and I saw the little rosy maple moth go, and open his eyes and look at me. And I said, buddy, I'm so sorry. I can't give you anything. But I love you so much. You're the most beautiful thing in the world. Like, I'm here for you until you pass, you know? And I had like the door open. We were just like sitting right, outside, and then the rosy maple moth looked at me and then flew away, and I never saw him again. And I still think about that rosy maple moth to this day, all the time. So I had to do it on the tattoo. I just get a tattoo of it. But I did it, so it looks like so I would love maybe one day for somebody to go over it if they can and make it look less like Okay, and then I have this tiny little smiley face it's not a sad smiley face, it's a sad face. I did it while I was in cosmetology school. And I think that's enough said. I have this stupid yin and yang tattoo that I never even finished. And let me preface. I did a lot of my stick and pokes, a lot of my tattoos, instead of engaging in self-destructive behaviors that I was very addicted to for a long time. So a lot of them I just didn't think. I just did instead of thinking. And the yin and yang sign was one of them. So do I realize that I'm a white person with the yin and yang sign that isn't even done? That looks like shit? Yeah, I realize that. And I will hopefully get it covered someday. Next, this is one of the first tattoos I ever did. Not the first one, but one of the first ones. It's the I am enough on my arm. And then as well as these 3 stars I did. I did these like while I was home for the summer. I think after my freshman year of college. And my parents were always like, you cannot get tattoos until you are like out of college, completely like out on your own. And I was like, yeah. That means I can't go get them, right? So I did them. But I would just cover them. I would just write over them like with Sharpie. And so they truly thought for years that they were just Sharpie. So these were the start of those. And then we get to my little wrist. And this is the album cover for the EP Solstice by Only Child, which is the Ready Set, Jordan Witzegrooter, my favorite artist, the Ready Set. I have a lot of tattoos for him. And then I've loved him since middle school. So this specifically, he did a side project for a while called Only Child, and it has some of my favorite songs on there. And this Solstice was like a little EP, and that was the symbol for it. So I did that there. And then I have a little broken tooth. That was my first like little wrist tattoo. That is for Disappearing Act or Teeth by Only Child. Disappearing Act is by the Ready Set. In the beginning of the song, he says, I've been dreaming of broken teeth. So I did a little broken tooth. And then over here we have 97% because even though it looks almost like 99 because I wanted to do the fancy 7, but it didn't work very well. But it says 97% because we share 97% DNA with orangutans. And then on the forward part of my wrist, we have this little thing. I don't know what that is. But you can tell it was stick and poke because of how, like, one, saturated everything in is how, like, pretty much perfect it is. And then you can tell the smiley face design was done with the rotary pin because of how absolutely messy and crazy it is, as well as the human. That's right there. That's crazy messy. I think, that was a rotary pin. And then this is I'm greater than my highs and lows. But the funny thing about this is I initially did it on accident. I am less than my highs and lows. So I had to do like a DIY tattoo removal thing. And you can still sort of see some of the remnants of it. But yeah. And then we get to my random symbols. And there's, I read somewhere online that this meant healing. And then I have a little eyeball, as well as these 3 lines. These are all stick and pokes on my fingers. So 3 lines go all the way around my finger. And then right here on my finger, I have hold fast. That is something that somebody told me in my teen years, somebody that just meant a lot to me and helped me through a really hard time in my life, would always say hold fast. And it's apparently some like sailor term to mean like hold on. And so I wanted to tattoo that on me. And then the little equal sign heart, the heart equal sign, was the first finger tattoo I ever did, and I love it so much. And then I have the tiny, tiny, tiny semicolon on my pinky, which I'm sure you all know what the semicolon is for, used when a sentence isn't supposed to end, blah, 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 suicide stuff. Or, you know, I did that in rehab. And then I have a tiny, tiny 16 for 16 Sundays by the Betty Set, probably my favorite Betty Set song. Really, I did this to see how long a palm tattoo would last, and I did this years ago. And as somebody who washes their hands a lot because they're a hairstylist, like this stays. I've never had really any issues with finger tattoos fading, except for these 3 lines because it is on the inside. But even then, I haven't touched it up in years, and it still looks relatively good. So that's all the oh, I do have a tattoo right on my chest, and I can try and show it. There we go. I'm not a fan of it, mostly because it was done by an X, and it's a symbol that apparently means Virgo. I don't know, but it was done by an X, and it's not very good. So yeah, my 3 first ever tattoos are 3 that are on my hips, and I will show you 2 of them. The crescent moon is my first one ever. Then I have a tiny little like Saturn, and then I have what was supposed to be a sun, but it looks more like a squashed bug. So that one I don't let people see unless, like, you know. I'll show you the little tiny crescent. The crescent moon I actually did with, I didn't have any ink. I did it with like a sewing needle and paper ash, because I didn't have any just regular ash, mixed with a little bit of water, and it made like sort of an ink. So that's what I did the moon with. So here is what that looks like. Okay, and then moving on to my legs. So all of my knee tattoos are stick and poke. Some of them I did go over with the rotary pen a little bit. You can tell like right here, that was all rotary pen because it's a mess. Starting with this leg, we have first I did like the eyelid with the tear, or some people thought it was like a raindrop with sun. But that I did was one of my first knee tattoos ever. And I did that in college. And then at some point I added Sad Fantasy to it because that's a Ready Set song. And then I have these little mushrooms. I attempted with color with the rotary pen. And it turned out okay, I guess. This little lava lamp, I wish I would have done him in different colors. He looks like a carrot. I hate it. And then a bee on my knee. I swear, I did this so many years ago, and then people started getting bees around their knees, but I did this for the bee's knees, before anybody else, I promise. I also have this little snake, which actually I think I did with the rotary pen because it's all funky. I did this little candle. This is a little ghosty. He looks kind of like a Pac-Man ghost. I tried to color him in pink, but that faded. Then this is the sign for Mercury, which I think is like the ruler of Virgo or something. Maybe it's Venus? No, I think it's the sign for Venus. I don't know. Little leaves. This is a little camera, Get Out Your Head, which is a Ready Set song. You guessed it. And then I have this little paper airplane. And then this is a doodle I did once. I really like him. And then this is my last professional tattoo that I got, and it was one of those gumball get what you get kind of things. And then this these are not together. Realistically I should have put this guy higher because this was there first. And Growing Pains Hurt, that's a similar song, and it needs to be gone over again, but I learned that similar is not the nicest person ever, so I don't really care to go over it again. I have a little knife right here on my ankle, and then I have this tiny symbol that supposedly means express. And then I also have a peace sign on my foot. moving on to this one, we've got the scissors, which have some issues. War Child, which is a song by Nico Cat, which is another side project from Jordan from the Ready Set. And then we have a little broken bone, a bobby pin. I did that because I grew up a ballerina and bobby pins were my life. This is a little magic horn. Jordan from the Ready Set kept posting one time about this horn and that he had, and so I tweeted and I said, hey, 1 like and I'll tattoo the magic horn on me, and he liked it, so I had to do it. This is a spider web on my knee with a little spider. This was definitely the most painful. All stick and poke style. I did go over it with the rotary pin, I believe. This is a safety pin, a little broken heart, a band-aid, and then this is I Belong Deeply to Myself. Although the F, I got a scab on it, and so it kind of looks like it says I belong deeply to myself. So I need to fix that. And then we have little BMO. I love little BMO. I did him with my rotary pin, and the colors, all of him is a little messed up, but that's okay. I love him very much. And then we have a little triangle that supposedly means explore. And then I do have a tattoo right here on my foot, and it's supposed to say so it goes, but I did it really poorly, so it just looks like a mess. And that is actually all my tattoos, so yeah. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and hopefully I'll be getting some more soon because this is definitely not enough.